officers and members of the public gallery. We are convening this Ordinary Council meeting from June 2023 at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, the 21st of June 2023. I declare this meeting open at 6:02 p.m. Go through the attendances this evening. We have one apology from Councillor Bias for this evening's meeting. And just to recap for the minutes, on Monday night's meeting, we got through the items 1 through to 9, and Council also dealt with 10.1.11 and 10.5.1. So tonight we will reconvene the meeting at item 10, Chief Executive Officer reports, 10.1, Development Services reports, 10.1.1, proposed place of worship, including incidental reception centre and community facility, lot 128 South Western Highway, Byford. Can I please have a mover for the motion, please?
I was wondering if I may put forward an alternate motion, if I may, please.
Thank you, Councillor Duggan.
For the benefit of the gallery, Councillor Duggan, would you like to explain the difference for your alternative motion?
Certainly. So it's an addition of point W, which is the development shall not exceed more than 244 persons at any one time, as I circulated earlier. And if the councillors may indulge me after the presentation or the deputation that was done on Monday night, I would like to also look at an alteration of point B, which currently says the operating hours of the development are limited to Monday to Sunday 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. with the addition of the words except for incidental staff meetings and any duties associated with internal cleaning, maintenance or facility management. This incidental use will have a maximum capacity of 30 persons at any one time post 10 p.m. and will be restricted to the operating hours of Sunday to Saturday 7 a.m. to 12 a.m. For the assistance of those to type that, it is on page 14 of the minutes, of the public question statements and deputations.
Councillor Duggan, that's to replace the entire point B with what is it? What the Mr. Clayton Plug suggested and asked to be? Is that what that is?
But with the addition of the word internal cleaning, maintenance, or facility management. So yeah, thank you.
You're happy with that wording now?
Thanks, Mr. CEO. Thanks, Mr. CEO. I'm happy with that.
Thank you, Councillor Duggan. Do we have a seconder for the motion? Thank you, Councillor D'Agostino. I have a question for the Director of Development Services. When council put conditions on an application such as this, we need to make sure that they are able to meet compliance and that we have a way of overseeing them so that the compliance is met. How would a condition like this, how would the compliance work for something like this?
Thank you for the question, Madam President. Condition W wouldn't provide too many difficulties because it's quite a specific condition. If we go back to the modification to condition B, so I can see it, please. Obviously, there is some, terms in there such as incidental staff meetings and duties associated with internal cleaning, maintenance or facility management, and that notion of incidental or incidentality. It's not impossible to regulate a condition like that. That's probably all I can say at this time. It's not impossible. I think the spirit of the condition is relatively clear. If there was a situation of a complaint being raised about these quote unquote incidental staff meetings, we would have a condition that we would be looking at and working out to what degree are these staff meetings really incidental to the predominant use, frequency of them when they're happening. So look, I think just on my initial thoughts, it doesn't create an impossible scenario should we ever receive a complaint that required some compliance activity.
Thank you. Is anybody opposed to this motion? Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you, members of the public gallery.
Councillor Duggan, are you happy with the reason you provided before to assist with clarity of the conditions? Are you happy with that reason for the difference in the officer recommendation?
Thanks, Mr. CEO. I feel that is pertinent to both points that were changed. So I'm happy to leave it as is. Thank you.
Councillors, before we move to the next item on tonight's agenda, we have received an apology from Councillor Strawtons after the meeting started. Item 10.1.2, development application for outbuilding lot 601 142 Bruns Drive, Darling Downs. Can I please have a mover for this motion? Thank you, Councillor Strange. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Duggan. Is there anybody opposed to this motion? Motion is carried unanimously. Item 10.1.3, proposed road naming application, lot 14 Scott Road, Mundijol. Can I please have a mover for this motion? Thank you, Councillor Duggan. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Strange. Is there anybody opposed to this motion? Motion is carried unanimously. Can we please ask Councillor Atwell to return to the chamber? Councillor Atwell, the Officer's recommendation was carried unanimously for item 10.1.3. Item 10.1.4, proposed list of war service personnel names for roads, streets. Can I please have a mover for this motion? Thank you, Councillor Atwell. Can I please have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Duggan. Is there anybody opposed to this motion? Motion is carried unanimously. Item 10.1.5, proposed childminding centre, lot 57, Briggs Road, Byford. Can I please have a mover for this motion? Thank you, Councillor Duggan. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Coles. Is there anybody opposed to this motion? Motion is carried unanimously. Item 10.1.6, Section 31, reconsideration of decision, amendment to conditions of approved transport depot and light industry workshop, lot 41, 17 Cardup Siding Road, Cardup. Can I please have a mover for this motion? Thank you, Councillor Duggan. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Strange. Is there anybody opposed to this motion? Motion is carried unanimously. Item 10.1.7, Clem Kentish Reserve Master Plan Interim Report. Can I please have a mover for this motion? Thank you, Councillor Duggan. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Strange. Is there anybody opposed to this motion? Motion is carried unanimously. Item 10.1.8, appointment of council representative to judging panel for the SJ Garden competition.
Madam President, when a councillor moves this motion, if they could suggest the councillor they think should be the member of the group, that would be a great opportunity.
I'm happy to move the motion and propose Councillor Duggan.
Thank you, Councillor D'Agostino. Councillor Duggan, are you happy to accept the appointment?
I'm happy to accept.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder, please, for this motion? Thank you, Councillor Atwell. Is there anybody opposed to this motion? Motion is carried unanimously. Item 10.1.9, Mundijong F1 Precinct Structure Plan Project Progression. Can I please have a mover for this motion? Thank you, Councillor Strange. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Duggan. Is there anybody opposed to this motion? Motion is carried unanimously. Item 10.1.10, the Glades Byford Structure Plan Amendment number 11, Cardup Brook Precinct. Can I please have a mover for this motion? Thank you, Councillor Duggan. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor D'Agostino. Is there anybody opposed to this motion? Motion is carried unanimously. Item 10.1.11, consideration of proposed structure plan, lot 33 Hopkinson Road, Cardup, was dealt with on Monday night. So we move to item 10.2, infrastructure services reports. 10.2.1, tender call for Soldiers Road, Cardup Siding Road, Roundabout and Soldiers Road, Keenan Street Roundabout upgrades. Can I please have a mover for this motion? Thank you, Councillor Duggan. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Atwell. Is there anybody opposed to this motion? Motion is carried unanimously. Item 10.2.2, road closure and land exchange, portion of Dolly Road, Byford. Can I please have a mover for this motion? Motion lapses for the want of a mover. We move to the next item. Item 10.2.3, petition requesting a playground and barbecue area to the grassed area near Nakota Street and Appaloosa Avenue, Darling Downs. Can I please have a mover for this motion? Thank you, Councillor Atwell. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Strange. Is there anybody opposed to this motion? Motion is carried unanimously. Item 10.2.4, council policy review crossovers. Can I please have a mover for this motion? Thank you, Councillor Duggan. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Atwell. Is there anybody?
Can I just ask a question? Not I just picked it up when I was rereading it today. I noticed in the draft policy director that it says if the people move any or damage any trees, they need to replace the trees, which I understand that concept. I'm just trying to reconcile that in my mind with, the many developments and I don't know, subdivisions and the brewery, all these sort of things that are proposed and that happen. They don't necessarily have to replace tree for tree. So I'm just trying to understand from a policy point of view what the justification is for having a landowner have to replace any tree that is moved in a crossover.
Director?
Through you, Madam President. Thank you for the question, Councillor. So this is to address new subdivisions where the developer will plant trees, veg trees in advance of blocks being built on, based on best information at the time where the crossovers will be located. And that sometimes changes when the builders arrive to build the buildings. So this is to protect the trees that the developer has put in rather than more the rural settings.
Thank you. I'm just I don't know if is that clear in the policy that only applies to that example that you've set out? Just trying. Could you refer me perhaps to the wording in the policy where it makes it clear that it does only relate to that example you've set out?
I can refer you to clause 5.6 on page. Sorry, it doesn't have a page number, but if you look at the specifications.
Oh, my Wi-Fi is not working. Sorry. 5.6. Yeah, I understand that. Where does it say though that relocation is only applying to, say, where a developer has put in the tree, so not to an existing landowner that might be wanting to put in a new crossover?
I don't believe it actually is that specific to say it's for new subdivisions or for existing rural properties.
Thanks. But the intention of that particularly that tree clause, the way you've explained it, is only for new subdivisions, is that correct?
It's more relevant to new subdivisions where developer will put one tree in each property frontage. And generally those trees are small size, 50 litre to 100 litre trees. It's just to protect those trees to mature by preventing the landowners to relocate or remove them.
Thanks. I mean, could I ask, would the director be comfortable if we added some additional wording in to make it clear that that requirement to replace trees only relates to, for example, large subdivisions that have previously planted those same trees, which I think was the example you gave?
We can modify the specification without having to bring it back to council, because it was a policy that was the bit that got really revised. We can take that on board and amend the specification to make it more clear.
Thanks. I'm happy to take the director's undertaking that he will amend it, and perhaps we'll see a draft in due course. So I'm okay with it. Thank you.
Alternatively, I'm happy to look at an amendment of the officer's recommendation that adds for that addition to be placed into the policy, if that's possible.
Certainly, Councillor Duggan, as a mover of the motion, with the support of Councillor Atwell, you could certainly add those words at the end of attachment 2 with a clarification about replacement trees only applicable to residential developments or something like that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mr. CEO. If I could have some assistance with wording for that, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Councillor Atwell, if you're happy with that.
The only thing I would say on it is that we have a control, I guess, I'm presuming, we're assuming at all times to make sure that trees aren't, someone just doesn't stick it somewhere for their convenience, where possibly a slight moving or something like that could result in the tree staying there. Then I'm pretty right. But so it's just more mess, not to get the tree knocked down willy-nilly, say just for someone's, convenience, rather than it's the whatever that word is, expediting the where it's put. That's all I would think. So if we done something like that.
Perhaps the addition of the words with due consideration.
Some flexibility.
Yeah, absolutely.
Director Infrastructure, can you just remind me of the clause number again, please? 5.6. What if we said with the clarification in clause 5.6 to provide some discretion in regards to replacement of trees in the verges?
I suppose what I'm trying to think more at start, but not would say that we really only apply to the example that the director outlined, which is the residential developers that have already placed the tree there.
Rather than rural areas where the trees have grown naturally, you know. So we could say, what if we said to clarification clause 5.6 to apply with trees that have been installed by developers, which might address Councillor Atwell's point if it's trees that in rural areas that might not be.
Yes, my main objection is to native trees more so than planted trees. Yes.
Better word, please, Nick. Yep. Councillor Duggan, are you happy with that amendment as a mover?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Councillor Atwell, are you happy with the amendment as a seconder?
Yes, I'm happy. Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. Is there anybody opposed to the amended motion that we have before us? Motion is carried unanimously. Item 10.2.5, lot 123 and 124 Gordon Road access Serpentine.
Madam President, we did issue an alternative officer recommendation for this report today. Inadvertently, officers forgot to inform the person involved that the matter was being considered by council tonight. So my suggestion to you is that the alternative officer recommendation is council defers this matter to the July ordinary council meeting to allow the opportunity for the residents involved to make representation to council on this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. I'm happy to move the alternate officer's recommendation. Can I please have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Atwell. Is there anybody opposed to this motion? Motion is carried unanimously. Item 10.2.6, review of operations and waste fleet and facilities business units. Can I please have a mover for this motion? Thank you, Councillor Duggan. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Strange. Is there anybody opposed?
Madam President, could I just ask a question to the CEO? Just to refresh my memory, and I should understand, but by incorporating the recommendations and the actions into the corporate business plan, that doesn't necessarily mean that all the recommendations and actions will be carried out. It's just will be in the fullness of time will be worked through.
Through you, Madam President, that's certainly the intention, is that there's quite a bit of work with all those recommendations, and we think that the work needs to be considered in the context of other organisational priorities as well over the coming few years. So if we incorporate it into that process of reviewing the corporate business plan, then we can see how that works with other priorities, and the council can then adopt those when it adopts the revised corporate business plan after the election later this year. So we didn't want to have a recommendation, to be honest, that said implement all the recommendations, because some of them we packaged up and done differently. This is just actually so they don't get lost and they get progressed as a body of work. That makes sense.
Thanks. I think you've asked my question. What I wanted to sort of perhaps see is a prioritisation of some of them, and I think that what your answer says is that after the election there will effectively be a prioritisation.
Correct. We imagine to package all these up into the revised corporate business plan, which we'll workshop with council after the election, and that'll be the prioritisation process.
Thank you.
Is there anyone opposed to this motion? Motion is carried unanimously. Item 10.2.7, review of the waste transfer station. Can I please have a mover for this motion? Thank you, Councillor Atwell. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Duggan. Is there anybody opposed to this motion? Motion is carried unanimously. Item 10.2.7, feasibility of food organics, garden organics, FOGO implementation and organic processing. Can I please have a mover for this motion? Thank you, Councillor Atwell. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Duggan. Is there anybody opposed to this motion? Motion is carried unanimously. Item 10.3, corporate services reports. 10.3.1, confirmation of payment of creditors, May 2023. Can I please have a mover for this motion? Thank you, Councillor Duggan. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Atwell. Is there anybody opposed to this motion? Motion is carried unanimously. 10.3.2, monthly financial report, April 2023. Can I please have a mover for this motion? Thank you, Councillor Strange. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Duggan. Is there anybody opposed to this motion? Motion is carried unanimously. Item 10.3.3, confirmation of arrangements for the 2023 ordinary local government elections, including community strategy. Can I please have a mover for this motion? Thank you, Councillor Duggan. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Mack. Is there anybody opposed to this motion? I am opposed to this motion for voting purposes. Councillor Duggan, if you'd like to open debate.
Thanks, Madam President. This is certainly an issue that we have gone over and over and over, and it's nice to be finally getting near the end of it. We decided that in-person voting was the way that we could be best assured that we have a true and honest voting system. I think we have a point to make to our ratepayers that we are looking at making sure that our integrity is held at the highest standard. And this is merely putting in place the steps to finalise that. And I think it's something that, to show our integrity as a group of councillors, we need to support this option. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Duggan. Councillor Mack, would you like to speak or reserve?
I'll reserve. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councillor Mack. Thank you, Councillor Duggan, for your words on this item. I have opposition to the fact that in the South Ward and the Northwest Ward in particular, they have less voting days to be able to cast their vote in person than what the rest of the Shire has. And I don't see that as being a fair option across the whole of our communities. So for that reason, I can't support the motion that we have before us. Thank you. Is there any other councillors that would like to speak for the motion?
Madam President, I would just like to ask a question if I can.
Thank you, Councillor Coles.
Would the Shire President be interested in working a amended or alternate motion to allow your concerns to be addressed?
Councillor Coles, I did put up various motions at previous meetings that did address this issue, and they were voted down by council. If you would like to put forward an alternate motion, Councillor Coles?
No, I wouldn't. Thank you.
Is there anybody that would like to speak for the motion? Councillor Duggan, would you like to close, please?
Thanks, Madam President. I feel that, to be honest, we've debated this ad nauseum. I'm happy to take it straight to the vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Duggan. All those in favour of the motion before us? 2, 3, 4. All those against? Motion is carried 5-2. Item 10.3.4, OneComm Consolidation Phase Progress Report or Update. Can I please have a mover for this motion? Thank you, Councillor D'Agostino. Can I please have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Atwell. Is there anybody opposed to this motion? Motion is carried unanimously. Item 10.4, Community Engagement Reports. 10.4.1 is Draft Council Plan 2023 to 2033 for public comment. Can I please have a mover for this motion, please? Thank you, Councillor Duggan. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Atwell. Is there anybody opposed to this motion? Motion is carried unanimously. Item 10.4.2, Shire of Serpentine Jarrahdale Access and Inclusion Plan 2023 to 2028. Can I please have a mover for this motion? Thank you, Councillor Duggan. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Atwell. Is there anybody opposed to this motion? Motion is carried unanimously. Item 10.4.3, Community Events and Activities, Summary of 2022-2023 and proposed 2023-2024. Can I please have a mover for this motion?
Madam President, I seek to move the alternate motion that was circulated last week.
Thank you, Councillor Coles. Can I have a seconder for the alternate motion? Thank you, Councillor D'Agostino. Is anybody opposed to this motion?
Madam President, can we just ask Councillor Coles to explain for the benefit of the gallery the difference of his alternative recommendation?
Thank you, Mr. CEO. It reduces the amount of the food fiesta trucks. It will save $53,000 to ratepayers by doing so. And it will also go back for the Australia Day activities. So it's a community breakfast as it was in 2022. Sorry, I think 21 was cancelled because of COVID. 2022. As opposed to this year. So it'll be a all-inclusive community breakfast. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Coles. Is anybody opposed to this motion? I'm opposed to this motion. Councillor Coles, would you like to open debate, please?
The reason that I have put forward this alternate motion, and I would seek support from my fellow councillors, is quite simply, and I was just writing down some notes here about the reason for difference of the officer's recommendation, and it's quite clear to balance what the community expects, what the community would like, and what the community would want with our fiscal responsibilities as councillors. I won't share with the gallery and those that are listening at home, to my surprise and my comments when I found out there was some $68,000 or thereabouts allocated in the budget, draft budget for the 23-24 financial year to spend on food trucks within the Shire. So that's Food Truck Fiesta. I don't want to go into too much details pertaining to that because I could be crossing a line on confidentiality and certainly community and commercial confidentiality. But what I would say is that there is a feedback from the community that they do enjoy the Food Truck Fiesta. So there are some still within the alternate motion to give the community, to listen to the community for their feedback that they wanted. In particular, the community concert was particularly popular last year. I think it was called the SJ Rocks concert. So that will remain within that. There will be a movie night that will remain. That again is a positive thing. But as we say so often in this place, it's not our money. The Shire has no money. It's ratepayers' money, and we need to be prudent and responsible in the spending of that money. This is a way for us to save $50,000 of ratepayers' money, to listen to the community, to give them what they want in a fair and equitable way. And also, I think the real important thing here is listening to the community in regards to the breakfast for Australia Day. That's actually going to cost us an extra $3,000. So instead of saving $53,000 on the reduction of the Food Truck Fiesta, it actually goes down to $50,000. And the extra $3,000 comes from the increase in costs to the Australia Day event, which is $53,000. So perhaps I can just spend a little while talking about the community breakfast on Australia Day. Unequivocally, the feedback from the community was that they enjoyed, as we have done in the past, the all-inclusive breakfast where all people can come. I think in this time of fiscal constraints, that people enjoy having a free breakfast. And what I think is really key about that is not just any day, it is Australia Day. It is one of our most important days as Australians on the 26th of January, which is Australia Day. And what I would submit is that we've listened to the community. They want to come together. They want to share the day. They want to reflect what it is to be Australian. I think it's important that a breakfast with the barbecue, the sausage and the eggs and the like, sponsored by the community, involving the community is a real key thing. So we've listened to the community, and that's cost us an extra extra $3,000. But the money that we've saved with being prudent in regards to the food truck fiesta. And I must correct myself because I know someone else will if I don't. It looks like that the community concert won't be part of that. So instead, October it'll be a community safety food truck fiesta linked to community safety. There'll be a movie night, which is particularly popular in November and February. Christmas, which I think is a very important event to celebrate in the community, is also linked to the food truck fiesta. And then in March, Harmony Week, another important national week in our calendar. So they're all things that are tangible. They link back to what the community would like. And I know that the community concert was popular, but that is a very expensive event, and we just can't physically support that with the amount of money that we have in the budget unless we increase our rates. So I've probably spoken long enough. So I would submit this. It's listening to the community with a balance of giving the community what they want with us being fiscally responsible.
Thank you, Councillor Coles. Councillor D'Agostino, would you like to speak or reserve?
Thanks, Madam President. I'd just like to support those comments and reinforce for me the quantum of money allocated for the food truck fiesta and what lays behind it in terms of event organisation and the like. I just thought was significantly high and a significant cost for ratepayers. So that was my rationale. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor D'Agostino. In speaking against the motion we have before us, and I will foreshadow an alternate motion, I am perplexed with Councillor Coles's comments over the rock concert food truck fiesta, given that it was the second highest attended out of the food truck fiestas that were run last season. It was extremely popular with the community, and one of the events that there was a lot of enjoyment gained. Yes, it does cost money to put these type of events on, but I think the events that have been well attended by the community and where the community has given their feedback that they have thoroughly enjoyed these events and they would like to see these events happen, which they have given us that feedback. I think it's upon council that we actually provide those nights for our community. I can agree with Councillor Coles with the other changes he has made, but I believe that the rock concert food truck fiesta is one event that should have been left included in the events calendar for the coming 12 months, given that the amount of input we did have from community and the enjoyment that it did bring for our community. So with the exclusion of the rock concert, I cannot support the motion as it stands. I would like to see the food truck rock concert included back in the budget and back in the events calendar for the 2023-2024 calendar year. Thank you. Are there any other councillors that would like to speak for the motion? Councillor Coles, would you like to close, please?
Thank you, Madam President. Now I hear your comments. I wonder if I could just ask the Director of Community Engagement if, and sorry, but I think the figure's probably in front of him, if we were to remove the movie night in November at $11,500 and replace that to the community concert, what would that mean in an overall funds allocation?
If you just give me a moment, I can find that number in another attachment and then I can
Thank
provide
you.
that to the councillor.
Councillor Coles, while the director is finding that information for you, if you are looking at the November movie night, would you consider the February one to put some space between the large Christmas party and the rock concert?
We could do. I was just thinking, obviously the way that it's been developed or drafted is it's October, November, December, February, March. So pretty much every month is there's something happening each month. So if we were to remove, so I know the community concert was in November, so I assume November for whatever reason appeals, probably because of the warmer weather. So I wouldn't have a movie night and a rock concert in November. So I just thought for ease, remove the movie night and replace that with a concert, and then so then there would be community safety in October, potentially the rock concert in November, Christmas in December, movie night February, Harmony Week March. I think which would be quite a. Does that answer your question?
No, not really. My thought process was that we have a large event in December with the Christmas party, and to put a bit of distance between that and the rock concert, which was the second largest event in the last calendar, that if we put the rock concert in February and left the movie night in November, it would give us a bit of space, give the community a bit of space between the two largest events.
Yeah, and look, I don't mind. That's probably up to our colleagues to discuss it amongst themselves. I guess now that we're talking like this, I'm going to put a cat amongst the pigeons and ask, how urgent is this to be passed? Because perhaps we should PCF it now that we're talking about different things at the meeting. And I know that we have PCF'd it in the past, but now we're doing things on the hop, which is never a good position to be in. So I wonder if we need to.
Director?
With regards to what dollar amount would be required to change either the November or February event to a music event, that would require an additional $25,000 then on top of that 11,500. In response to the second part of the question about deferring a decision, I guess from our perspective, we're happy to come back to council with, if an amount can be supported tonight for consideration in the budget, that will assist in my team's planning for these events, recognising that we need to start engaging external contractors, suppliers, depending when the music event, if it's supported, is delivered. So from our perspective, I guess we would be keen to see an amount supported for inclusion in the draft budget, and happy to bring that back to the food truck fiesta schedule, back to council at a PCF to get, put forward our proposal and then get feedback and direction for council as to what that final calendar looks like.
Thank you, Director, and thank you, Madam President. Perhaps then, I don't know how we do this technically, but I think the $87,000 as per the alternate motion is what I want to achieve by saving $50,000. The only thing we could potentially do is start playing around with numbers and reduce the, there's 24,000 for the Harmony Week, whether we reduce that, but I don't think this is the time or place to do that. So perhaps, how can I do this now?
Councillor,
foreshadow.
could I make a suggestion?
Yeah, please.
Council's endorsing this. What council is doing with this motion is noting the summary of events, and it's endorsing those things to go into the draft budget. So you could consider that tonight, and then you could update that in the budget workshops in the coming weeks. And as the director said, we could bring a report back to a future council meeting following that workshopping. You're not actually committing exactly to those and those things. This is just to be referred to the to the budget process.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. And I do note sometimes that so obvious you don't see it, that paragraph B does say draft. So I will, notwithstanding the comments that I've made, I'll leave it as it is. And if you'd like me to close, Madam President.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. I hear your comments, and the community concert is important, but $25,000 is a lot of money. I'm not going to be the old Councillor Coles and start quoting how many rateable properties, that is, because we all know that $25,000 is a lot of money. But what I would say, certainly, I think there's no doubt about Australia Day, and on reflection, that is, I would submit second to Anzac Day, the most important day on our national calendar. And we also acknowledge the newest Australian citizens on that day, and also bring together the award recipients and get people involved over a bacon egg roll, which is a good thing. I can't justify $25,000 extra for the community concert. I would, however, be open with my fellow councillors to shuffle the figures, shuffle the food trucks to get that in there, and perhaps that could be achieved. But what I would say, movie nights, I think, are appropriate, and I think when we look at this in the draft budget, maybe movie nights are more resonate more with family members as opposed to a rock concert. But again, maybe we can look at the figures of the attendance for that. So I'll leave it as it is. Basically, the motion will remain as it is my alternate, with basically the crux of the matter being that $87,000 is allocated in the draft budget, reducing it by $50,000. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Coles. All those in favour of the alternate motion before us? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All those against? Motion is carried 5-2.
And councillor Coles, can we get some reason for difference to the officer recommendation, please?
Thank you, Mr. CEO. To balance the community's expectations and for the council to reflect fiscal responsibility, or to be fiscally responsible. Along those lines. You just want me to say fiscal again. To balance the community's expectations and to be fiscally responsible. Thanks.
And Madam President, can we please have the votes recorded?
Minute Secretary, can we have the votes recorded, please? Thank you. Item 10.4.4, Jarrahdale Trails Audit. Can I please have a mover for this motion? Thank you, councillor D'Agostino. Councillor Duggan, are you happy to second?
Happy to second. Thanks, Madam President.
Thank you. Is there anybody opposed to this motion? Motion is carried unanimously. Item 10.5, Executive Services Reports. 10.5.1, Advocacy Priorities 2025 State and Federal Government Elections. This item was dealt with at the earlier proceedings on Monday evening. So we'll move to item 10.5.2, Organisational Development Roadmap 2023 to 2026. Can I please have a mover for this motion? Thank you, councillor Duggan. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, councillor Mack. Is there anybody opposed to this motion?
I quite read this last bit right, where it says to be considered annual. Is that correct, or is it?
Probably should say annually as part of the budget process.
I don't know if I was being pedantic, but
it's probably a good pickup. If the mover and seconder are happy with us putting an extra L and Y on in the second point 2 for annual to annually.
Certainly on my copy, it's actually got the L and Y on the end. So I'm not quite sure. Yeah.
Sorry, it says annually online as well, so happy with that.
Thank you, councillors. Is there anybody opposed to this motion? Motion is carried unanimously. Item 10.6 is confidential reports, of which there is nil. Item 11 is urgent business. 11.1 is differential general rates and minimum payments. I would like to move the officer's recommendation. Can I please have a seconder for this? Thank you, Councillor Atwell. Is anybody opposed to this motion? Motion is carried unanimously.
Madam President, can I ask a question? And I would ask it to be put under urgent business. I've reflected upon a statement, and I'll get the name correct tonight, Mr. and Mrs. Schneider, that made on Monday night about some concerns about their experience with the Shire. I wonder if I could ask for your indulgence to put a motion forward under urgent business for a review to be conducted on their application and the concerns they've had with the Shire of Serpentine Jarrahdale, and for a report to be reviewed or to be compiled by the CEO.
Councillor Coles, I don't consider it urgent business.
Thank you, Madam President.
I did speak to the couple concerned Monday evening and have recommended quite strongly that they make an appointment to meet with the CEO and the Director of Development Services to work through the issues they have, considering that it goes back some 13 years in some cases, and that there is no staff members from that time that are still here.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Item 12 is councillor questions, of which notice has been given, which there is nil. Brings us to item 11, which is closure, and I declare this meeting closed at 6:59 p.m. Thank you, everybody, for your attendance this evening. Please travel safe home.